Welcome, everyone. This is our first show. Thanks for joining us. We were supposed to start this probably about a month ago with us, right? We all saw it. We were going to review it.
This is us.
Yeah, no, this is called us. Yeah, just us.
Movie we saw.
But it took some time to set up. But we're here, and we'll be reviewing movies,
Talking
our favorite
about different
topics.
stuff.
Yeah, and so thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
So let's get to the nitty gritty.
I think
we chose a great first movie. What did we choose?
I think we should start. Oh yeah, Avengers. We didn't say it. I think we should start with talking about each individual character from the first 6 Avengers. Just we talk about the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys want to start with Hulk?
Okay, first of all, we got to say that this is a spoiler warning. Okay?
This is not a non-spoiler. There's too many non-spoiler
Yeah, I was gonna
reviews.
say, if you're looking
Full
for a non-spoiler,
spoilers.
then click off right now.
Social
I just
media's
spit
really
all
hard.
over this table, but we won't show all that.
All good.
All right, here we go. So
Who wants to start about the Hulk? I could say it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, I think at first when I watched the movie, I was a little disappointed because a lot of people were bashing Hulk in Infinity War, but I kept telling him just wait till you see the next one. He's gonna have a crazy entrance from the first Avengers and come out, and then they kind of skipped that and made him Professor Hulk. But I was cool with it because I feel like after a few times they just wanted to make him he was more important to the plot. He had less character development, so he snapped and stuff, but he wasn't really much of a important character in the movie. But he was still he was funny. He was cool. Whatever.
when you say you're cool with it, were you cool with it the first time? You've seen it 3 times so far. Okay, I've seen it twice. You guys have seen
Just
it
the
once.
once.
Yeah, just the one. So that's a good balance.
It's better as you watch it.
Yeah. So were the
bet.
first time you were disappointed, or
I was because I remember
in the Hulk thing?
Yeah, yeah.
I know, not in the whole movie.
No, it was I felt a little cop out because he was in the first scene in the Hulkbuster or whatever, and he was regular, and I was like, okay, well they're gonna set up for his big transformation, but he was just a normal guy dabbing and taking selfies. So
The dabbing got to you.
I was cool with it, and I'm glad he did his science, and he had a couple cool scenes, and he was obviously integral with his snap. The movie wouldn't have ended nicely without him, so I was cool with that.
I forgot to do the most important thing to introduce you.
Everybody.
Yeah, I was like,
Oh,
yeah,
we can do that right
I'm
now.
trying to be a host, but
We don't
you
need
know.
to edit this. We can just do one.
No,
take.
go ahead.
You wanna
So
start that way?
I'm Prince.
Yeah, I'm James, man.
Yeah, I'm Taj,
Bigi,
and
everybody.
well, brothers and cousins.
Yeah.
Cousins.
Exactly.
All right. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
So,
Get that out of there.
first of all, we'll get to the Hulk thing, but I do want to have a question for you
Oh,
guys.
I think we should probably stop the camera.
Reset what you were
Pizza's
just
here.
saying. Oh,
You guys
pizza's
are
here?
so funny.
Yeah, she's holding pizza.
Yeah, Molly just walked in.
We can stop the camera. Is that okay? Because I really want to eat this pizza.
All right. Basically, I also want to know, we'll get back to Hulk. Yeah. But I think we should say if we like the movie first.
Loved it.
What did you guys think about the movie?
What do you
Best
think?
movie of my life in the past 2 decades that I've been graced here on this planet.
Best movie?
Where
Best
does
movie I've
it
seen.
rank among the other Marvel movies for you guys? I think we should do another video on that though, separately.
Yeah, we
but
can
still,
do-
we could just say loosely.
I need to be updated on the other Marvel movies for comparison.
loosely. It's
Or
just
reason.
what loosely. Is it top 3? Is it top
Oh,
four?
definitely.
Definitely
top
top
three.
three.
Definitely
Definitely top
top
3. I don't know if it's 1 or 2 for me still.
Okay, so
It's like I said, it's
With
one of the greatest
Infinity
movies
War.
I've seen in my
for
life.
me,
You don't know if it's 1 or 2?
Yeah.
For me, it's been pushed to number 1. At first, I watched it 2 times, and I definitely liked it, but I was I felt a little bit not disappointed, but I was maybe that just wasn't what I was expecting. Watching it the 3rd time, I realized it's one of the few movies I could probably call perfect. And there's things you can nitpick, but there's things you can nitpick in every movie that's perfect. But I feel there's some perfections and the imperfections type stuff. I love this movie.
Okay, nice. And just to be clear, you saw all of them again.
I did.
You went through that kind of.
Except Captain Marvel.
You guys didn't do that, right?
No.
I didn't do that either. Just
James
If you'd watch all of them, it's literally a trillion times more rewarding. And
Yeah.
we'll speak about some of the callbacks later.
And you didn't watch any of the previews either. Any of the.
Yeah, I definitely saw some stuff on social
We should
media.
make a video description on your religious avoidance and the practices that you
He's
do
very
leading up to a
dedicated,
big
yeah.
movie.
I
You
got
know
it.
what I
I
mean?
don't watch. I started doing that with Age of Ultron. Remember we were
Oh,
going to
yeah,
school.
yeah.
He was watching the trailers. No, I'm done. Because I feel when you watch trailers, there's always gonna be a part where you're watching something and you're where's that part of the movie in
Yeah.
the trailer that looked really cool? And I'm glad I didn't watch trailers. Now that I've gotten a little older, I spend more time on the internet. It kind of ruined because I still saw shots from the movie, but these trailers weren't that revealing anyway, so it was cool.
Yeah, they do a good job of
Yeah, I think-
showing everything.
I think they made sure.
And I will say one thing, before we move on with some of the characters, this is one of the movies that actually gets better as you rewatch it. And I think like Infinity Wars, I've seen it around 11 times now. It's still fantastic and it's still entertaining. But I think you get some more rich character interactions and some like deeper stuff when you rewatch this movie.
Nice.
Yeah, and watching the Marvel movies.
I hope I
Definitely.
feel the same.
I think so.
When I rewatch it.
Actually,
coming from somebody who
I'm
loves
not
talking
saying
here.
I'm not saying it's a bad movie or anything. I just hope I
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
the same.
Yeah, it's my favorite now. It wasn't at first, and I'll talk. We'll talk.
Yeah,
a
the
little
first time I watched it, I was more nervous actually, and so I didn't enjoy it as much as I could have. I love the atmosphere of the fans and everything like
What were you
that.
nervous about though?
Just if it would
Everything.
live up to
If
my
they pull it
expectations.
off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, if they could stick the landing.
I mean,
And-
yeah, to build up with 21 movies and like have this be like the Return of the Jedi, like.
But I think we
type
should
thing.
talk about that because me and BG were already talking about this a little bit.
What were we talking about?
The sticking the landing,
Yeah.
the ending
Does
of
it?
the movie, and like
Oh,
you
wait,
know,
hold on. I
how,
think we should
how
talk about that a
well do
little
you
bit.
think it ties up?
I think we should talk
mean?
about that a little later.
I'm just saying.
You guys want to talk about some more characters before?
Oh
we
yeah,
say
yeah,
everything?
yeah.
So,
Wow.
so are we done with the whole? I mean,
We talked about one out of the
Talk
6.
about Hulk.
original.
I don't. I mean,
yeah.
You guys want to say it?
Yeah, because
I think that when you see the size difference between Hulk from one of the original, like was it Infinity War versus the
Alien.
Hulk, like the science Hulk,
He's a little smaller.
he was a lot smaller and just like way less.
Well-
and I didn't understand the scene. Like, what did they tell him when he was like, "Rawr"?
Oh, so they told him because the regular Hulk like smashes the Chitauri guy, and he's like, "Rah," like. So they were like, "Hey, you need to blend in." So it looked crazy. And he's like, "Ah," like because he kind of got rid of that
okay.
Yeah.
that like primal instinct that the Hulk has. So he was like, like I'm pretty chill now, like because he says in the movie he spent 18 months in a gamma lab. So he like did the science to connect him and Hulk. So like he's pretty much a normal dude now.
Yeah.
So he's just but he's obviously still in a big body. So
And this is not so much of a serious question, but it is a good question. Where did they make clothes that big for Hulk?
I'm sure somebody tailors it for him.
You know what I mean?
He's got some rich friends.
Somebody in Shield's taking care of
And
it.
I'm sure, like, he could either go and find Black Panther or Iron Man, like, you guys are pretty rich, you want to give me some money? Because we're all so broke.
yeah.
Captain America can't even afford an apartment.
Yeah, Hulk was interesting because Hulk was something that I was
expecting something else.
I was expecting the Hulk out. Like
Yeah.
I really was
Yeah, me
in this movie too. So that took the second viewing. I knew that he wasn't going to do that, so it was a lot easier for me.
Yeah,
But
I see what you mean.
I was going to say another thing that I think, like, because, the biggest part for me in the first Avengers was when he says, "I'm always angry." A lot of people love that moment. And then they get in the circle.
Yeah.
This movie, like, they were like, they probably thought to themselves, like, we could do that, or we could just do, like, literally, like, 50 people, like, in line going to war while Captain America says Avengers Assemble. And I feel like that moment was better anyway, so.
was that your favorite moment of the movie?
Yeah, probably.
As a historic shot, though, and I really wish we could have it like as an example, but when Captain America is solo against Thanos and his army coming down,
Yeah,
like,
we were gonna say it's one of the best
that
individual
was
shots.
That's your favorite?
hands down.
The
I mean,
coloring,
it used to
the-
be
the-
it used to be one of Peter Jackson's wide-angled shots coming into Lord of the Rings, something like that. But
I mean, it
that
was
was
just him
just
being like,
fantastic.
"I'm Captain America, and I never back down."
yes,
Yeah, it was
and the
epic.
odds were
What
just
about you,
amazing.
James?
You
You gotta be close to her somewhat.
one of my favorite scenes are probably like I like the scene where Doctor Strange gives Tony Stark like the look. And he gives him like you know what has to happen.
Yeah,
man.
like this is the
Our one chance.
Yeah, the
is
one
this
in-
chance.
It's kind of like uncool though,
sacrifice.
because Doctor Strange, like, he was like, he saw the realities, and he was like, "Oh, Tony dies. Like, probably shouldn't tell him
No,
he
yeah.
died." But we're not like a hero. So I think we should talk about.
He says if I tell you it won't happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. That's exactly what he
I think
said.
we should talk about Black Widow next.
Okay.
What do you guys think of her character in this movie, particularly? I really liked it. I feel like I would have liked it if she was there for the final battle, especially the shot with all like the women, and she was like the first one. But I like her character a lot because she was like a little depressed, like everybody kind of was in the first hour. But she also like she clearly was hit more hard than a lot of other people because like she says in the movie, like those are her only family.
Mm-hmm.
So that was something I liked, and I thought her death scene was pretty fantastic, especially when I rewatched it.
Yeah, it was, and she had a redemption storyline, and I like that too. And we probably should talk about the actors too, Scarlett Johansson and then Mark Ruffalo for the Hulk. So
Yeah, I mean, Mark Ruffalo, a lot of people didn't like him in Infinity War. They said his acting was kind of weird. I know you said that. I kind of agree. Like, it's a little, he says stuff and it just sounds like a little weird. But he was good in this one, He was kind of funny. Like, there's a scene where Ant-Man gets his taco blown away and he gives him the other taco. There's that type of stuff. But I thought the scene where...
That was a funny scene, actually.
that was a funny scene. He gets
I like
blown
when
away.
he's taking the selfies.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's like...
yeah,
But I do like the scene where Black Widow... And she's in the room by herself, kind of eating. She's really sad because she's Hawkeye's just murdering people, and Captain America comes in, and they just kind of have like a heart to heart, because they like, and if you've seen the other movies, you're kind of like, you like that scene more because you know how much they've been together, like been through together, like from alien invasions to like, government, stuff, and like I just thought that was one of the best scenes. There's a lot of those personal scenes that are really good.
It is rewarding watching it over again, I would assume, because then you do see the connections for the characters, and it does feel like they've gone through that big journey together.
I mean, even watching it for the first time, I think those were really good scenes because I think even when they went back in time, when they had those personal experiences before they weren't even really superheroes and they weren't superheroes in that time, they were just having almost, I would say, they're redeeming like a fault in their past storyline that kind of redeems them. And I think it builds up nicely because you don't know who's going to die. Because everybody gets that kind of, you know what I mean? That closure.
You definitely do not know.
I will say this. Infinity War, the end of the second act, and this is from like the screenwriters themselves, is the scene where Thanos kills Gamora on Vormir. And the end of the second act of this movie is where Black Widow kills herself on Vormir. And so I think some people might criticize, like, you literally did the same thing, and they even use the same score as we were like talking about. But I thought that scene was a lot better because like Hawkeye obviously is so like angry and just like depressed in this movie. He's taken out in the world, and like they're friends and not in a romantic way. Like they're just they like have so much history, and for her to want him to live because she knows that if it does work and they bring people back, then he'll have a family, but he doesn't have that hope. I thought that was so cool that she would kind of give herself away. That whole scene, I think the acting is really good, and I think like it was kind of creative the way they're like stopping each other, and thought that was pretty fun.
Yeah.
So you guys enjoyed the Hawkeye character?
Yeah, let's talk about that. What did you guys think?
I did not like his haircut.
I liked it. I liked it.
I didn't like it.
I'm not
I
a
think
tattoo
as an adult and as a father, you should not have that haircut.
Well, he's
I don't
not a
care what
father
you do
anymore.
for a living.
He's not a father anymore.
But him with the sword.
I think a lot of people criticize Hawkeye. Like, I've always liked Hawkeye because it gives like a human element, but I think in this movie, even the people who are like, "Oh, Hawkeye sucks," people are gonna like him. Like he's got a sword, he's got this, like mohawk thing.
I mean, in all the other movies, they really didn't give him much to do.
Yeah,
Except Age of Ultron.
Yeah, it's not like he was a bad character. It's just he didn't have much to do. But that was Jeremy Renner. Yes, and
I like that scene where he's like going up from the tunnels, and there's like that horror shot kind of, and then he jumps up and like slices it in half. That was a pretty dope scene.
It's like reminiscent of Aliens.
Yeah, I was just about to say yeah.
So.
Is the Hawkeye and his family scene? Is that the opening scene?
Yes.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of that scene?
That
Do you think that's like kind of a brave way to open up like a huge blockbuster? Because if you think about it, Infinity War opens up, you're thrown right into the action. There's like, the spaceship's blown up, Thor is messed up, Loki's like super in distress, Hulk gets like destroyed, beat up, and like Loki dies. And that was a great opening scene. It was very like, it's intense and there's a lot of stuff to it, and the score was great. But I thought this scene was so like, just personal. Like this guy just living with his family. There's no score or anything, and that was a good scene.
It was great.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this movie for me, seeing it the second time was pretty perfect in that way. And once I got through all the nerves of, I know that sounds silly, but what do you guys think about the Thor character and how drastic it was?
That was hilarious.
Oh wait, sorry.
Really
I was just gonna say, can I say one more thing about Hawkeye?
Of course you can.
That scene in Tokyo, if you might not notice it first, that's a one-take scene, which is crazy.
You told
He's
me
throwing
that,
people through windows. There's like sparks, and there's like this shot where they show him in the club, throwing knives and beating people up, and then it like pans out, showing like the sides of the building, people getting thrown out, and then they show him like drop. And I was thinking to myself, like, how do they do this? And there's rain. I was like, what do? They build like a fake Tokyo or whatever? Like, I thought that was a dope scene. Him and Black Widow like they're holding hands and stuff. That was a cool scene. Yeah. But I thought like on a technical level, that was pretty dope. But anyway, back to Thor.
Let's talk about technical level. What do you guys think about the Russo brothers?
I was about to say. I mean, obviously, I think all of us here.
I know what you think.
Those guys are gods to me. Like, I think they're the best like comic book directors since Christopher Nolan, and I think like they have only gotten better with each movie, which is so impressive because they really know how to like juggle like action, humor, like deep stories, emotional moments, and just character arcs. And I feel like this movie is like the ultimate culmination. But like we were saying, like on a filmmaking level, this movie has some pretty like impressive shots. Like there's that shot. There's a shot where Hawkeye comes into the barn, the first time travel, and they're showing like panning through the like kind of like the stable shots. I thought there was a lot of cool shots like that in this movie. That I liked. And then on Asgard, there were those super like wide shots from above.
What do you guys think? Like in terms of
I agree. I think they've gotten better over the progression of like the movies they've done, but also when they started, they were taking comic book movies, and Christopher Nolan is a great director, but it was still a very
realistic
niche. You know what I mean? It was still a very comic book, and only a certain amount of people really went to go see those. Whereas I think the Russo brothers, when they make a movie, it still has comic book content, but it's more of a global appearance and a broader appeal for like a lot of the audience.
Well, I'll say this: they've directed, along with Christopher Nolan, probably my 7 favorite comic book movies, plus like Logan. Those would probably be my top 8.
Do you have it in an order of Russo brothers?
I think that's something for another day we can talk about. That's a whole debate.
Yeah.
But speaking, so we were talking about Thor. I think a lot of people aren't gonna like what they do with Thor in this movie, and I didn't even fully like it. Like when I was first watching it, I was like the Russo brothers, who would like, even though they have jokes in movies, they always treat the characters with respect. You know, they don't Jared Leto Joker it. But like I felt like when I was watching, I was like, did they really turn him into a joke? But upon second and third viewings, I thought they really did something interesting. They made him super self-deprecating. He was super angry at himself because even though he got to kill Thanos, like he couldn't fix what happened, and so like he's just kind of like angry at himself, sitting and getting drunk with Korg and Meek while they played video games.
That was
and,
awesome.
Like, that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
And I like that.
Yeah, it took me another viewing to get used to it too, because I didn't expect that from Thor either.
Well,
I think Thor is a comical character. Like Ragnarok, I wouldn't
that's
exactly
the thing.
consider it a very serious film.
It's not though, but the thing is, people like the way that they were describing it was that in Ragnarok it was very comedic because the director and all those things. But in Infinity War, they were showing that comedy was really Thor dealing with like it was like almost bizarre that he was like ignoring the fact that everybody around him had died and like his life pretty much like has no meaning anymore. Mm-hmm. So his one chance like to kind of have that redemption. Like that hero's journey is when he gets Stormbreaker and he's about to kill Thanos, and like that was his one shot to kind of redeem himself, and then he screwed it up because he purposely aimed for his chest so he could kind of gloat and be like, yeah, I told you I'd kill you. So like that's probably it's eating away at him, and like you can't fix what's like already done. So
interesting, yeah.
And I will say this: one of the best scenes in the movie to me was when he's talking to his mom in Asgard, and she says like he's like, I'm not what I'm supposed to be, and the mom says. Like everybody fails at what they're supposed to be. Mm-hmm. You have to decide who you want to be. I thought that was a great line.
Yeah, that's a great
scene. And we don't know his future. Like Chris Hemsworth said, he wants to keep making movies. So they kind of are done with Cap and Tony, which is cool. But they can kind of stretch his character arc or do whatever they want with him now. And he's with the Guardians, and I think that's pretty exciting for people to see.
Yeah, and I must give it up to. I mean, there are a lot of big actors that just did small cameos for this movie. I mean,
that's an understatement.
Yeah, I mean,
credits for this movie are
they're ridiculously. But I mean, every single one of them came back pretty much to just kind of, this.
Samuel Jackson didn't say anything. That guy's like, the megastar of megastars, and he just stood there. Like there's some like Aunt May, Mrs. Tomei just stood there. Like there's a lot of that, but I think it was just exciting for people to see everybody together. And that funeral was a great scene. Let's transition us into talking about the 2 main characters of this movie. Do you guys want to talk about Tony or Steve first?
Ooh. Let's talk about Steve first.
Yeah, okay. What do you guys think of that? I have a lot of stuff to say, so I'll let you guys say your story first.
You want to go?
Yeah, I'm more of an Iron Man fan straight out the gate. You know what I mean? Captain America's cool.
Yeah.
He's definitely gotten cooler, like over the development of it. But
you're Team Iron Man?
I'm definitely Team Iron Man when it comes to that. But I like the whole.
Yeah, I'm definitely Team Iron Man.
He's valiant. My favorite part, I think, the most memorable for me the first time was the "That's America's Ass."
That was funny. That was funny.
That was a good scene.
I'll ask you guys this: when you say you're Team Iron Man, does that mean you like the character more, or in Civil War you agree with Iron Man, or is it both?
I like the character more.
Yeah.
Civil War, I'm more.
We could sit here and have an ethical debate, but Captain America,
War.
I think, is the right one. But I'll say this: if I'm being like true here, I do think actually I like Captain America more, and I thought he was probably a better done character, developed over his 7 movies. Iron Man's in like 9 movies. And I think he's easily second best for me. But I'll say as performances go, Robert Downey Jr. has best performance in this movie. Mm-hmm. And not just like, this isn't a good performance like for a blockbuster. I thought it was just good acting. Like there's so many great scenes of like him kind of like, just acting. I think we'll talk about that when we talk about Iron Man. But I'll say this, like Captain America in this movie was what I wanted. A lot of people said in Infinity War they were disappointed. Mm-hmm. He's like,
didn't have much to do.
Yeah, I mean, he has a couple cool moments, but he doesn't have much of a character. In this movie, like, they made him kind of deal with, like, as the guy who's always so hopeful, he was pretty sad at the beginning of this movie. There's that scene where he tries to say, like, things are better in Black Widow's like, if you say that, like, I'm going to throw this at your face. And he's like, oh, it's a force of habit. I thought that those type of scenes are very good because he's always, you know, like the good American and stuff. And in this movie, he's just kind of broken. And so, you know, then he gets, there's a lot of cool moments too. You know, he says Hail Hydra, which I thought people thought was cool.
That was so,
yeah, that was crazy.
That was awesome.
And like a lot of people thought that was kind of subversion because a lot of people like another elevator scene. And he's just like, I got this Hail Hydra.
Yeah.
And then when he fought himself, I think people thought that was dope. I thought that was really cool when he was like, he's like, I can do this all day. He's like, yeah, I know. Like, you gotta tell me.
That was a good.
That was really cool.
And realistically, Captain America probably should have like destroyed the other guy because he has military training.
Yeah.
The other one doesn't. But I love Captain America in this movie. And I think what you were saying, it's your favorite moment. It's probably the Avengers assembling, but I gotta say, when Captain America took Mjolnir, for me, like that was.
That's when everyone's.
or when he was hitting Thanos with the shield.
Yeah,
and
like,
oh my god!
I mean, that was just insane. And even like with the Avengers moment, people have been waiting to hear him say Avengers Assemble, which is such like a staple in the comics. And like a lot of people were like, when's he gonna say it? And they were like prolonging it to kind of make you have the most rewarding experience. Because at the end of Age of Ultron, he's like Avengers, and the movie ends. I thought in this movie when he said Assemble and the music started, that was just like pure goodness. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. The actors and actresses are incredible in this Marvel
Seriously,
universe.
I mean, I was talking. Was it you or Prince? I think it was maybe both of you that we were saying like for a blockbuster franchise, like I think one of the things that separates them, like and why they're so loved and successful, is not just like that they're entertaining, but like in terms of acting for blockbusters, they're way ahead of the curve. Like there's so many great scenes of acting. And Robert Downey Jr. like for me like is probably the best performance throughout the movies, but everybody else is great. Like. You know, Thanos, even like the mocap, it's fantastic.
But see, I think that's attributed back to the Russo brothers because they're not just directing a comic book movie.
They're directing
you know, they're directing a movie for all audiences.
No, I don't disagree with that. They get some great performances out of their people. So you guys want to talk about Iron Man?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
definitely. Well, first of all, Chris Evans is Captain America for people that
Don't know.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
I mean everyone.
And moving on to Tony Stark.
Yeah, but move on.
If you
to
don't know who Robert Downey Jr. is,
yeah.
you gotta get out of here.
I mean, if you don't really know who anybody is,
Yeah,
I don't
this
know
is
why
like-
you're watching
maybe you should be
movies.
watching this.
Yeah.
Would you guys agree with the assessment that this is the Star Wars of our generation? I completely agree with it. But I don't know.
Absolutely.
Definitely for me. I mean,
You grew up on Star Wars. Like all of us are too
This
young.
is
here.
the event to see. I mean, I know a lot of people that are just want to see it just to see it because they've heard such great things about
I know a
it.
lot of people that watched all the Marvel movies just to see this.
Yeah,
It's true.
that's very true.
I was talking to somebody who said their mom was seeing it and they're 80. So
Wow.
Wow.
I
everybody's
know
seeing
people
this.
who've only went to see this one.
Yeah, I know that too.
Wow, really?
Just because of the hype, yeah.
It's
I heard it was
huge
supposed to be
hype.
good, so I'm gonna check it out.
I mean, it's huge hype on a movie. And so yeah, somebody else want to talk about Iron Man? Yeah, I'll start.
He always has the great gadgets.
Yeah, this guy's like little things with
That, yeah,
Hulk
but
arms.
also I thought it was very interesting is the way he transferred the Infinity Stones.
That's one of those things that people are saying like, all right, how did that actually happen? And it's one of those things where you go back, yeah, but like it
But it's
was
got-
dope.
But no, I think he may have planned it.
But like
Because he built the original
I think
Infinity
he did.
Gauntlet, which I had a question that I didn't want to ask anybody until we did this. How if I don't know the dwarf's name?
no, I actually agree. That was a
Or
little
not
bit of
the-
plot hole.
the-
How
the
did they
me-
make
the
that
mega
metal?
guy.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
how did- he made the
And
Infinity Gauntlet,
and that's
right?
like metal out of a dying star. So
Yes.
how did they able to? How are they able to carry the Infinity Stones?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's one of those things that the directors are gonna address eventually. I hope because I have no answer to
But
that.
is that why?
Because I don't think vibranium could handle that.
Tony's got resources, man.
He does, but like that metal is literally from a dying star, and that's like what Thor's hammer. Like that's the strongest metal in the universe. Even like scientifically, that's how it works. So like
Yeah, I see what you
how they, but you know, it's one of those things. Like I was like, I don't really care because you know that was just a great.
But I
moment.
just think he built in a backup plan because he usually builds in backup plans into
course.
his
plans.
into all of his plans.
Thanos grabs him and kind of like because after he fights Thor, Captain Marvel, and Captain America, and he's standing there, and Iron Man like jumps on and he kind of like throws him off, and then like he's like, and then he looks. So realistically, Iron Man got thrown. It was like and grabbed 6 Infinity Stones. So it might be a plot hole.
into his own Iron Man one though.
Yeah, but like,
You know what I
did they
mean?
suck them out magnetically? Like,
He could have, yeah.
6
He
at
could have done a
once.
transfer for
It's
it.
probably make like a nuclear explosion.
He probably had a plan C, man. If
Maybe-
this guy gets his gauntlet back.
Because
on
the
his
first
hand,
time he also
Yeah.
tried to get the original gauntlet off of Thanos, and they weren't able to.
Oh,
because
when you're talking about the
Yeah.
Infinity War, like when he put that thing on. Yeah, that's true. I mean, here's what I'll say.
keeping it.
There's some plot holes maybe, but I don't really care. You know, I care with other movies, but I will say that I loved Iron Man in this movie. It was my favorite, and I didn't think they would top, some of like Robert Downey Jr.'s fantastic other turns at Iron Man, but I think this movie kind of did that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Especially when he was very skinny in the beginning too.
I think
that
that
scene,
scene,
that's dedication.
that
you
was
know
just
what I mean?
fantastic. I don't think that was real.
Oh, it wasn't. Like, how did they make
That was like
skinny?
Christian Bale numbers.
That's what I'm saying.
He was skinny. He looked
I
like he was
learned a
starving.
trick that they do in movies though. They do the near death thing where they make you think that the person's gonna die.
Infinity War.
Not even that, when he was on the spaceship and it's like, he had no more oxygen. And so I've started seeing that in a lot of movies now. They kind of have that almost death scene, but then like there's a miracle that happens.
I'm talking about from a realistic standpoint though. Like, how did he get that skinny looking on camera?
Oh, they use CGI. Marvel.
Oh, they did.
I mean, they've de-aged so many people. Like they have.
And that's becoming the main thing now that
They
everybody's
de-aged
They do it so well.
Michael Douglas in this movie. They've de-aged Robert Downey Jr. before. They've de-aged
Samuel Jackson.
Samuel Jackson, Kurt Russell, and guys to like a lot of people. So like they're CGI wizards, and like they could. I thought that was. I was talking about that scene though. I thought that was a fantastic scene.
Which
like,
one?
Where Iron Man's like sitting there and he's like, they're telling him like, all right, Tony, like we need to get together, and he's just angry at Captain America, and he takes out his thing. And a lot of people are always like, and like he puts it in his hand. He's like, I blame you for this. I thought that was a great scene.
That was a great scene, dude.
That was some great acting.
He was angry at him. He felt like he was alone.
Yeah, and all right, listen. I don't remember the entire like monologue, but I just know that there's this one line where he's like, oh, like you fought him on the planet. He's like, there was no fight. He threw a moon at my face, and like he was just pissed. Like he was very angry at like that they were like just not there for him. And he's like, what are we, the pre-Vengers? Like, no, we're supposed to be the Avengers. And I thought that whole scene was just really good.
Yeah.
Another scene I will say, because the first hour of this movie is pretty quiet, besides them when they killed Thanos, but like in the third scene of the movie. But I'll say that like when he was at home with his daughter and his wife, I thought that was one of the best scenes of the movie, because he's trying to like live that farm life, that normal life, and his daughter and Pepper just there, and there's like two parts in the scene where he's like kind of trying to live that, and you see him kind of looking over his shoulder at like the other stuff, and like Pepper's like, yeah, I know you can't stop, and that whole scene was just very interesting, and like I think that was good for his character. That's showing like a normal life, for some people the superheroes, like they can't really live that if they need to like sacrifice, and so she kind of accepts that at the end of the movie when he dies, like
I was gonna say that.
you sacrifice, you can rest now. I thought that was very good payoff to his character.
Yeah. What do you think about Pepper Potts?
I liked her in this movie.
I liked her in the Iron Man suit. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
The rescue armor. Yeah, that was pretty
awesome.
That was pretty dope.
That was that was really cool for me, especially. I love it when they come back, in that way. And the Russo brothers do an incredible job of paying off a lot of things. It's almost like they're listening to what fans want, and they kind of give it to them.
I'll say this: like this movie by far had the most callbacks. In Infinity War, it had a lot of callbacks, and I felt like this movie's callbacks were more like less referencing stuff. Like, do you remember we did this? This is like sort of similar to what we're doing right now. Like this movie had like callbacks that were like, I think story. Like there's the part when at his funeral, there's that thing that says proof Tony Stark has a heart. That's in the first Iron Man when she's like his secretary and she gives him that as like a gift. And I was like, oh wow, like, and he's talking to his daughter and she's like, I want cheeseburgers, because in the first Iron Man he gets back from I think he's in Afghanistan, and he's like, we have to get you to the hospital. He's like, no, I want an American cheeseburger, and then a press conference.
Yeah.
So I like that.
A lot of good callbacks and stuff. And we have to give props to the writers too.
Yeah, Christopher Marcus, Stephen McFeely.
Yeah, they in general
they worked on the Russo brothers with all four of their movies.
Oh, did they? I didn't even know that.
They've been doing it, and then they also did the first Captain America. So they're super talented. And speaking of that, one more thing I thought was a really cool callback was there's a scene at the end, like even after Tony's funeral, when Captain America's going to return the stones and live his life, and he's like, what's it called? He says to Bucky, he's like, don't do anything stupid till I get back. Yeah. And Bucky's like, how can I? You're taking all the stupid with you. That's actually a reference to the first Captain America when he's all skinny and he's talking to Bucky, and they say that, but the line is switched. So that's great. So, yeah. I don't know. A lot of people know.
That's really cool.
Those are very interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
That was like, that gave me some chills. I was like, that's just friendship. And Steve, Tony died a hero's death, and Steve got to live. Because the thing, I thought there was kind of like a dichotomy there, like where Tony always like just wanted to live a normal life and sort of had to be a hero, and Steve always had to be a hero and could never live a normal life. So they both kind of got fitting ends to their story. And I think.
But I think Iron Man had multiple opportunities to be a normal life, and that's why Pepper Potts was.
Well, he
saying
lived
you
a
can
little
never
bit.
do that.
He did live a normal life for 5 years.
Because you said you'll never rest.
No, but I'm saying like he got 5 years to live. Like he had a daughter, and he said like, he's like, part of me wants to throw this away.
5 years is a break.
What do you mean?
You know what I mean?
5
Like,
years is a decent
he
amount of
died
time.
when his daughter is how old? 5 years old? That's not a life. That's like
Okay, but I'm saying he got to live his life, and like, Captain America. Let's see his life. He like turns into Captain America, gets frozen, wakes up, fights an alien invasion, and then does all that stuff about 4 more times, and then is like, all right, guys, like I should live that life. And then he says, even when he's an old man, he's like Falcon. He's like, what happened? And he's like, I thought I lived some of that life that Tony was telling me I should get. And I thought that was like that was a cool line. Cause you could tell he wanted to just, be happy and get his dance with his girl, Peggy. And that was a sweet scene.
It was a sweet scene. And you're talking about probably the most unselfish character finally doing something for himself.
Yeah.
Which is
that's
cool.
a good point right there. And even Tony Stark's dad's like, the greater good often outweighs, or my self-interest often outweighs the greater good. And Tony did the absolute opposite of that. He sacrificed everything. Mm-hmm. That was a great scene.
Did you guys, when you were watching this movie, did you know what was coming up next, or was it something that just hit you from all different sides?
I knew Tony was gonna die.
I knew.
Really?
Because I knew his contract was up.
That's
so
what a lot of people are saying.
Same with Chris Evans.
But I will say
I didn't know his contract was up.
Yeah. This is the thing. I knew Chris Evans' contract was up, and a lot of people were like, he's going to be like holding something up, and Thanos is going to stab him, doing something heroic. And I actually thought, I was skeptical. Not that I didn't think Iron Man was going to die, but I was like, there's a very high chance that they let him end his life, because this is a little fun fact. His contract doesn't, like, not all of the movies he's done were part of his contract. Like Civil War, the directors, the Russo brothers, and the writer, I don't know about the writers, but the directors had to pitch to him, like, we're making this movie, and like, we want you to be in it. You're integral to the plot. And he was like, okay, I don't know. And they, I don't know what the pitch was. I was there, but he was like, they were probably telling him like, this is this and this.
Lots
and he was like,
money.
okay, I want to, lots of money. And, you get to show off your dramatic skills. So this movie, I thought there was for sure a chance, but I was like, maybe he's going to, retire or something. But
he did though, and he passed off the shield to Falcon.
I was talking about Iron Man.
Iron Man, okay.
Captain America did retire, but that's the thing, like that Taj was saying, like, they both did kind of the opposite of what they usually, and like that's something I think people are gonna love about Iron Man, is that in 2008, Tony Stark is a super selfish guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's
selling weapons. To
yeah,
everybody.
he's selling weapons. He's into vices and stuff, and like by this time, he's kind of had a son figure in Peter Parker, and that scene was great. We'll talk about that, and then Captain America has always just put his life on the line, and like there's so many examples of him just kind of like I'm gonna risk it all. If this, he sacrifices himself in the first Captain America, thinking he was gonna die. And the Winter Soldier, there's that line where he says to Bucky, like, "I'm with you to the end of the line," because he thinks he's gonna die, but he still decides to just be kind of heroic. So it was kind of like they both got the ends to their stories that I think people wanted.
Are you guys excited about what's next for Marvel?
I am, but I'm also a little like...
Me and James are talking about it. There's that adjustment period, where there's going to be new actors and you were so in love with the originals that it's kind of hard to change over.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be somewhere where they're handing off the baton, where they're like doing the Captain America thing and giving a shield to somebody, or it's going to pass down generationally and like their kids will pick up the mask,
Here's what I'll say. Like, Captain America, Iron Man, Thor are probably the main 3 characters that a lot of people would consider. I consider them that. I'd say Thor kind of has Captain Marvel, Captain America kind of has Black Panther, and Iron Man kind of has Doctor Strange / Spider-Man. So they have their replacements. And I like those characters. I'll never like anybody more than I do Tony and Steve. Mm-hmm. Those are probably 2 of my favorite movie characters of all time. Like, no joke. But I think, they can do good movies. But I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was like, I just don't think they can top this. I mean, seeing all those people when Captain America says Avengers Assembled running at each other and the emotional moment. There's so many things in this movie that I was like, and the Russo brothers always top themselves, and they're kind of done now. So I was, I'm excited, but I'm also like, I'm happy if even if their new movies suck, like I'll have this. I'll have like a 22 movie
They
story.
gave you what you wanted.
Yeah.
Are the creative team behind it done as well?
Well, which one?
Yeah, I mean,
Kevin Feige's not done.
Yeah, Kevin Feige.
What about the Russo brothers?
The Russo brothers. Well, this is what they said. Like exact, and this to me sounds kind of dope. They said they're done making Marvel movies until Marvel is ready to make Secret Wars, which is basically this comic where like a lot of people fight each other on an alien planet. So that might be a while.
It's like Civil War on an alien planet, basically.
Yeah, but it's not as like ideological. Like they just kind of this dude who's like super powerful, the Beyonders, cosmic power, kind of brings them to this planet and is like, all right, you guys are gonna fight each other for my, for me, my entertainment.
Like Mortal
Because
Kombat.
yeah, pretty much. And I think they'll put some more deeper things in that, which will obviously be better. Because they always, even in the Civil War, they change the story pretty dramatically in the comics, and they make it more character driven and more, I would say, like rich with the characters and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
I'm excited, but I'm not worried, but I'm just not as enthusiastic. I'm trying to be.
You can be. I mean,
Yeah.
it's no hate on Marvel. Like it's a compliment that would be like, I'm worried for your next movies because all these ones that you made were incredible.
Yeah.
I think that's sort of.
My two favorite characters were Captain America and
I think a lot of people feel that.
They also have the strongest movies, though.
Yeah.
Like solo movies,
Yeah, so that's it's going to be hard for me.
What do you? Oh, this is. I guess since you said, I didn't even think of this. What's the best trilogy in the MCU? Is it the Avengers trilogy? Well, Avengers has a quality.
Yeah,
it
yeah,
does,
what do you
but
consider?
also
That
because
sucks.
it has all the heroes in it. So
Yeah, it's kind of because
a
like
bunch
if
for
you
one.
watch the movie by yourself with no comics, you'd be like, I don't really care as much. So I guess I'd
you
say
can't ask that. You could ask it excluding the Avengers, but I don't think you can.
okay,
ask
excluding
it
the Avengers, because I say by far Captain America.
Really?
Iron Man 2 and 3. When you rewatch,
Iron
they
Man
got
1 and 2 I like, but 3
I think you should rewatch Iron Man 2 because I thought that too. 2's got some problems. Iron Man 1's still fantastic; it's a classic. But Captain America, there's no weak.
No, I would agree with you. I think Captain America
Yes.
has better. I think Captain America does. Like
'Cause
every movie is a banger.
Yeah,
Everyone.
you got the great period piece, a spy movie, and then like an Avengers movie.
Yeah.
So you also have the most variation. Yeah, but I would say, what did you? Oh, this is a good question.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of Thanos in this movie?
Gosh, I really like. I mean, obviously, Infinity War was his story.
It was his movie. It was his
I was
movie.
just gonna say
He was
that.
better than that, but I think
Yeah.
that's not a problem because I think people knew that was going to be the case. That this was the Avengers movie and Infinity War was the Thanos movie.
Yeah, but I mean,
He was still dope.
it was incredible.
I think it's the same thing with the other characters. Like you still got a more intimate experience with Thanos in a way
In
that
this
you
movie?
didn't. Yes, in
You
this
think
one.
less than Infinity War?
Well, no, you did it in Infinity War, but I think you saw him after he was done doing all this stuff. So yeah, he always had a calm demeanor when he was doing.
Oh, you're saying he's
his
more like violent in
destroying.
this movie?
He
definitely
You
is.
saw him fighting, and I thought that was
He's
really
more like
cool.
bloodlust.
But I
'Cause
also
he's
think
younger.
that when he was done and kind of like you saw him more, I would say not beaten or broken,
You're talking about this movie.
but old. Yeah, when he got his head cut off before.
Oh, okay. Well,
in-
but that's
after
like
the
a
snap.
small scene. I'd
yes,
say
after, that's what I'm saying. After the snap,
Yeah.
you see a
But I
different.
like
I do
that
like
scene
it.
too.
Well,
Yeah, I
that's
think very
you also
good.
have two different Thanoses. You get an old Thanos who, he's in like the
Thanos.
movie for like 2 minutes, but he's very like probably insightful. He's making his food and farming, just chilling like in his life, and then he gets murdered pretty quickly. But then you get like a younger Thanos who's basically like this is what the Russo brothers called him, like a galactic Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
Like, he just
Definitely got that feeling.
He's
Definitely
super
got that
strong.
feeling.
He's bloodlustful. He takes over planets and like
Wait for their armies to show up.
yeah, just murder and he has obviously we saw a large group of people working for him, but I think Thanos was still cool in this movie, not as good as Infinity War, but I wasn't mad about that because I didn't expect him to be. Infinity War was his journey.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty brave for them to end the movie with their villain smiling after he'd murdered like everybody. So with them to kind of rectify it, they made Thanos in this movie.
And what do you think about the acting and the motion cap
Of Thanos,
James
still
Bond?
great. I'd say it was a little better in Infinity War, just because there's also more scenes. Like there's that scene where he's like talking to Gamora as a child, and she's like, "Did you do it?" And he's like, "Yes." And she's like, "What did it cost?" He says, "Everything."
Everything.
Such a great.
That was a
very
fantastic.
good scene.
Thought that was one of the
Such a
best
great
scenes with the
scene.
villain.
Does
I've
he
ever
shed a
seen.
tear, man?
Yeah, no,
That
his
was such a
his face looks like it has like regret. Like that's acting through
Yeah, bro.
motion capture, and I thought that was
This is a question that we had though. The first time we ever see Thanos is in the end cutscene
Avengers.
of the Avengers.
yes.
Was that Josh Brolin at
No,
that time?
it wasn't.
It wasn't. It was
this
somebody
guy
else,
named,
right?
his name starts with a D, and I think his last
I
name
didn't
starts
know
with a
that.
P.
Wow, I want to see it.
So that's what we were
But
talking about because
he
I
also
remember
has, like,
him being
reddish
also a lot
skin.
more purple.
Yeah, he
like,
was.
brighter.
But it's I think
What
he's
was
in
the-
like darkness.
What was the face of the character in the cutscene?
It's like
was
a
it
little
like-
redder.
Did he have the lines on his chin? 'Cause
Yeah,
that's
no,
always
of course,
part
of
it,
course.
right?
Okay, so that's always.
But
alright.
so I'll tell you this. So he's in that scene, and then in Guardians of the Galaxy and Age of Ultron, Josh Brolin played him, and he's more purple. And then in Infinity War, he's like a full character.
I said Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin.
Because
You
James
can
is
look
right
up.
here.
That's on business.
I know what that is too.
I still like the awesome, and I think a lot of people thought that sword was pretty nice.
No, the sword was awesome.
The sword was cool.
It was.
Really
And he
And
was.
he went through Captain America's shield like it was butter.
Yeah.
That was an epic scene though when they're fighting. I mean,
And did you
can't-
notice that it was exactly like the same shield that
from Age of Ultron?
Yeah, from the
Yeah.
Iron
It
Man
wasn't
3.
exactly cut in half, but it had like pieces out.
Yeah.
Chunked, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people, me included, I think my favorite part again was him saying Avengers Assemble. That was like pure goodness. But I loved the scene at the beginning. Like it looks so happy. Like Hawkeye gets the phone call from his wife, and Ant-Man sees the birds, and everybody's like, okay, like the world's better. Then just destruction instantly. Like there's no chance to kind of breathe.
Well, I think that's really almost the only way that you can continue it, because they were talking about continuing the movie instantly right after the end of Infinity War. And at the end of Infinity War, it was not chaos because he had already snapped his fingers. So everybody had already, like, the war was over at that point, you know?
Well, except for like people on every planet that he did, because there's like planes crashing out the sky.
Yeah, of
businesses,
course. But like,
governments.
if you remember the movie at the end, it was very quiet and people were trying to figure out like what's happening. And I think that tone carries over into the beginning of the next one.
I love when Captain America at the end, like he's sitting there. There's like 7 people, a bunch of dead people, gone. And Captain America's just like, oh God, and then it shows it Thanos smiling, and the movie ends. I remember watching that last year and being like, jeez. And then you were like, hey, what'd you think? And I was like, all right, get out of here. And I was very angry. I didn't want to talk to anybody.
It was a crazy movie.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people were expecting time travel in this movie, which was in the movie. But I think something people didn't expect was them to just murder Thanos and then cut to 5 years later. People were like, wait,
what was that?
And I like that too. They gave him time, and you can see the character change. Like they're just so angry and depressed. Like all of them, in different ways they've coped with it. Iron Man's kind of moved on, actually. Same with Hulk.
Yeah,
Hawkeye's just angry. Black Widow and Captain America just want to do something about it, but they can't. And Thor's just depressed. So yeah. What I was gonna say is, I think besides the Avengers Assemble, and I think one of my favorite shots is the 3 of them, Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man walking. And I forgot what they say, but he's like, it's go time or whatever. And he gets the hammers, Cap gets a shield. And Iron Man's like, he has the shield. He's like, if you lose this again, I'm keeping it or whatever. that was awesome. And Hawkeye, is in the tunnel and stuff. Yeah, I think it was kind of like a 3-act structure to the battle. And each scene was great. And I think everybody loved it when Falcon was like, on your left. And they all came to the portal. That was like,
Cap on your left. Yeah.
Jeez.
That was a great scene.
That was.
But do you think that's the person they should have had when everybody was coming
Yes,
back? Because
I'll
that's
tell you
the
why.
first voice.
Everybody wanted. I know a lot of people would say Black Panther, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange. I'll say this though, people love when they said on your left, and people from Winter Soldier, and people wanted a callback to that when Captain America was wearing besides with the Smithsonian, and he says on your left. So that was that was pretty rewarding.
Well, we're running out of time right now. We have like 1 minute left on this card. Should we keep going with? Do you have more to say?
I would just say the last battle was great. Iron Man's funeral was fantastic. Cap's story, wrapped up fantastically, and I did like one little thing. I like how Thanos died like a G. He just kind of sat down, and he died the same way, like in the same position that the movie ended in Infinity War with his arms kind of crossed. Yeah, and I will say Captain Marvel, a little too strong for me. When he headbutts her.
Way too strong in her own movie and way too strong in this movie. I will say, before we end, this is the funniest scene to me, is that the Avengers, everybody is getting pummeled by the ships, missiles raining down.
This is a nitpick.
Okay? No, but then they stop raining down the missiles to shoot all their missiles at Captain Marvel. And then Captain Marvel comes through, takes down Thanos' entire warship, and then lands, and then the other female superheroes have to come in and say, we've got her back.
It's just
like,
a
she
moment.
obviously
It's just
doesn't
a moment.
need it.
She is.
Any backup.
She is busting through
She
tanks.
is the backup.
She is busting through tanks.
She's powerful.
I mean, yeah, but
the
that
headbutt
cool.
was a little like too cheap.
No,
Overall,
that her fighting against him, I was cool with. But when he headbutted, she was like, I was like, okay, like tone it
I
down.
did not like
That's
the
too
haircut
much.
either. Her haircut did
It's
not
supposed to look like that.
We should talk about haircuts
I
in
was
this.
quiet.
Hawkeye's haircut looked clean. I know you're a tattoo guy. Hawkeye's tattoo was pretty.
Oh,
cool.
gangster.
But
I didn't even know those were real or fake, but if
Those
those
are
were
fake.
fake, that's a
Those are
lot of work to do for filming. That's crazy.
Oh, and then one last thing. Did you guys like the costume change? Like, I love Captain America's. Iron Man's was great. It looked the most like comics Iron Man because it's like a tank top look, and like the thighs and stuff have no red on it.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.